Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out probaterealestate.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit probaterealestate.com. Now let's jump into this week's content.
Welcome to our Tuesday morning Probate Mastery coaching call. I'm Bill Gross. I'm a real estate broker here in Los Angeles, California. West Side's the best side. And I'm a participant in this program. I've taken the class several times, the past version, the current version, live, as well as recorded. And we get together every Tuesday to talk about victories, losses, implementing the ideas, getting involved in the business. We focus here on this call on the business of real estate brokerage. There are investors in our program and other professionals as well, but we really focus on how to build your probate-based real estate sales business, which most traditionally means getting listings. How do you do that? How do you use that knowledge, expertise, and certification to build your business? We do this every Tuesday, 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, that's 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It's live streamed, recorded on YouTube. And if you want to get more information about the program, the website is probatemastery.com. Probatemastery.com. And on here, you can see a couple of free courses. I recommend always start with the free material and learn. Probate opportunity, probate marketing, and probate prospecting are 3 great vignettes, classes, chances to learn. And if you want more, here's an explanation of the Probate Mastery course. Scroll down and you can enroll in Probate Mastery. And learn about the Academy and other trainings that they have. In our chat box today, Lou is the class leader who will give you information and oftentimes offer to meet one-on-one if you have more information about that. And then if you want to come to this coaching call every week and get reminders, click here on free weekly coaching call, and that will take you to this registration spot. So you get reminders about this call every week, as well as links to the recorded version. And also on the website, you'll see the Facebook community, and I really recommend you participate there. Continue the conversation and find other probate-related content, learn about the company, ask questions, landing page, anyhow, different market material. Love to see you guys join us there. Now, separately, I host a program, probateweekly.com, and you can sign up there at probateweekly.com and get reminders. That's Thursdays, 4 p.m. It's an interview format program. I interview mostly attorneys and vendors. But I'd love to have you guys join there. You can join in live on the YouTube and ask questions, and we'll answer them. You scroll down, and you can watch on your various audio formats for podcasts or the past episodes on YouTube. And I separately have my own Facebook group to continue the conversation. I'm at 3,900 members. Come on, help me out, guys, to get to 4,000. Continue the conversation there. Put your probate-related content there. I put past episodes, and Courtney's obviously is often on this call. And so feel free to post your content. There's Rean. Rean's here in our call today. He's a probate expert-based realtor in the state. Ooh, I gotta get this right now. Minnesota, right? I know it's Big Ten. Right. I know it's Big Ten country. I wasn't sure which state, but and he has some great content on his YouTube channel he's been posting on here. So we'll talk a little bit about Rean. We'll have you jump in a little bit and talk about your content strategies and what you're doing. Love to have you ask questions. And so let's see. First question up, though, Natalya had a great question. One of my favorites to ask. So we're going to bring her in. And also, she's not hard on the eyes. So we're going to bring some eye candy for the guys. Natalya.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm brand new to probate. I'm gathering right now information, but I'm about to start actively cold calling to probate cases, and just want an advice from you guys. What's the best way to start, and what to expect?
Right. Well, so let me give you a global answer. This is not obviously a whole training on the subject. It's question and answer format. First up, I would definitely go to the Probate Mastery and make sure I'm clear on the opportunity. What are you trying to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
Second, to be clear on the probate marketing, make sure your calling should be part of a marketing activity. Maybe
Yeah.
you're mailing, social media, emailing. It should all
Mm-hmm.
be a targeted, integrated approach. And then third, I would watch the probate prospecting where he goes into those details. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important to make sure that if you're going to spend the time, because I often get this question, and people say, 3 years ago I signed up, and I made some phone calls that didn't work, and I quit, and 3 years went by.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a real business doesn't quit. A real business has a strategy and then corrects along the way if it's not getting its results. So the first thing I would say is make sure you're clearing your target and put some time into thinking through what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, and do it in a proper way. Bruce Hill, the proprietor of Probate Mastery, is a great coach on cold calling, prospecting, scripts, part of the program. To be, full disclosure, I don't do that today. I don't really cold call. I warm call. Now, I've built a pretty big business now. So I can call somebody and say, hey, Natalya, I see you're an attorney. I was referred to you by Joe, who's in your area. And I have a YouTube channel. I'd love to interview you on my YouTube channel about your practice and try to get you some additional exposure. That's a different phone call than you're going to make. You can make the same one. I'd urge you to. But my guess is you're not making that phone call. You're calling them for referrals. The one thing I also would recommend strongly for everybody on this call is rather than call and ask for something, call and offer something. Now, the Probate Mastery, we talk a lot about the list of service vendors. I think the right approach is to find what that person might be interested in, offer that, or offer them something. And then if they reject it, try to find out what they are looking for. So on my probate channel, last week I hosted Executorium, which is a free service where you can get listings for your vendors and put them on Executorium. And then you can call prospective vendors like attorneys and say, hey, Natalya, I'm a realtor in the area, and I have other vendors on Executorium, my accountant, my clean-out company, my estate planning company. And you don't have any attorneys in our county. I'd love to add you to it. It's free. We'd be open to that. So those things I do, I'd make sure that I was calling and offering something of value rather than asking for handouts. Does that help?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Great. Well,
Okay.
thanks. Hopefully the rest of the call will be helpful
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. Okay, so I saw on the chat box,
Here.
Matt Price asking about how is it going to affect the ability to sell properties? Let me on the free there, Matt. Let's bring you in.
Hey, I'm here, Bill.
So your question is, how do you think? Are you asking me how I think the NAR settlement will change how we sell properties?
Well, yeah, an attorney asked me how the NAR settlement's going to affect my business, and I told him, I said, generally my costs are fixed because of the services I provide. But he was more interested in the real estate brokers who just do real estate. Correct. And how they are charging, their percentages and how it's going to affect them. And if he has to worry about the buyer side or anything else like that. And I said, you probably are going to have to take an average opinion of all the real estate brokers. I said, because that's not generally what I do, because I provide everything else plus the real estate brokerage. But the real estate brokerage stuff has been negotiable ever since I started doing this. But there has been some who have concerns. Some attorneys are now concerned that they're going to have to, have another line item for buyer's commissions or concessions or something like that.
A couple of things I would say on that. And you're in North Carolina, correct?
Yep.
So anybody on this call outside of California have a state-approved form for probate? And I think the answer is no. I've asked this question over and over again. I don't expect an answer. But if you have one, I'd love to be told about it. And then my next question is, any of you in larger brokerages or high volume, that work with high volume attorneys in probate, any of you have a standard addendum that they use to cover probate? And the answer is no, almost always. If you have that, let me know. And so I only say that to you to point out that in California, we have a probate listing addendum when we list property that identifies some of the risks and protects the agent and the customer and theoretically the attorney. And then when we have an offer, we have a probate a purchase agreement probate addendum that spells out those issues as well. The other thing I would say is, I don't know the practice in North Carolina. When you list a property in North Carolina, and if you use the approved North Carolina, I imagine, Association of Realtors forms, you have such standard state forms, right? Do you?
We have standard forms, but we have nothing for probate whatsoever.
No, but I was going to pivot a little bit to the question of commissions, because that was your question was, do you, in your standard forms, when you take a listing, have a box and fill in what the total commission is and how much the buyer's agent's commission is?
Yeah, but they're changing all of that. They're taking out the buyer's agency.
So same in California, we have forms, we're changing them, but I'll tell you the new forms, to me, I think the whole thing with the lawsuit is a complete fraud. I think like a lot of things in American business today, it's political, it's government overreach, it's attorney overreach, it's I think, American values, that one judge and one group of 12 jurors in St. Louis, Missouri, great city, is deciding the real estate practice across the country. That's just not consistent with how America was built. And I think that the fact that people are outraged by that tells you the decline of our understanding of our freedoms and capitalism and such. Because in California, as long as I've been in business, commissions are negotiable. And as long as I've been in business, we've broken out listing agent percentage and the buyer's agent percentage, and the seller had the choice to pick either one. The lawsuit that is at the core of this is, I think, a complete fraud. You have two very sophisticated sellers who are, I think one was retired and one was an executive in a company, very sophisticated people who, after signing the contract, said, "Oh, we were fooled. We didn't know we could negotiate it." No, that's not what happened. They were coached by an attorney who's a class action attorney, who's their friend. And so I think that the answer is commissions have always been negotiable. What they've been able to do is scare the MLSs into pulling out, disclosing that number, which I think will hurt consumers and create disruption. And there'll be a lot of disruption to the system. But at the end of the day, there's two things that are true. One, sellers want to sell property, and two, they're going to need people to help them do the job. And those of us who do that job can charge a fair commission and will get paid for it. And those who don't won't. And so we'll have more forms, more paperwork. But I think at the end of the day, what's shocking, I cover my podcast every week. It's shocking how the news industry is shocked that there's not more realtors getting out of the business. Yes, realtors are scared and nervous. A lot of talk about it. But at the end of the day, it's not really going to change the mechanics of the business. It's just legal nonsense, like a lot of things that go on, particularly in California, but in this case, in St. Louis, Missouri. It's sad, it's disturbing, but also I think we need to stand up for ourselves. And I can say this: I've told every seller I've ever listed with, it's negotiable. You have your option, I have my option. I can accept or not accept your price. You can accept or not accept my price. And we can talk about it. Doesn't mean I have to agree with you. That's not negotiating. Negotiating is we both have our input. And then we decide separately what the buyer's agent gets. And we disclose it, we agree it in writing, and we operate on that basis. So I don't know that really fundamentally anything changes, other than, like everything in America today, there's a lot of drama, a lot of fear, a lot of tension. And all the more reasons why those of us agents who are professionals, better read the forms. In California, we have new versions that come out June 25th. I've already reviewed them. I've already done a video on them for my team. We better review those forms. I think whatever state you're in, I'm sure you have similar things going on. Whatever brokerage you're with, I'm sure you have similar things going on. You better learn them and indoctrinate those forms, learn the best practices, up your game. But at the end of the day, I don't think it will really change things to consumers, except for those who don't, stay with the times. Okay, that's my bit. Matt, what do you think? You asked the question. Do you have a input on this?
Well, I think
not that I'm opinionated at all. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm from New York, so I'm always got an opinion. But to logically go through the nightmare, I think what's going to happen is that some of these attorneys are going to say, "Oh, well, I can negotiate even lower as far as the probate's concerned," and they may use it as a way of trying to not pay the brokerages what they're asking for, but, maybe establish a higher limit, like with the bankruptcies, you're only given an amount, especially if you're doing personal property or in some cases, the vehicles and stuff like that. So they may establish a baseline as to, well, this is what you get for doing probate real estate, and that's it. And then they may even come back and say, well, the buyer's agency stuff, well, they're going to have to come back to us with a form, and it has to be court approved before we can even pay them. So it's going to be one of those things where even the courts even HUD is having to have is having a Tums moment with this. So it's sending waves across the entire thing, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it on one side, and then on the other side, we're trying to build a business.
I mean, to show how stupid the government is, you have the Department of Justice, who is some attorney who's never sold a house. It was her motion to prevent the marketing of the commission portion to the buyer's agent, right? That was because she determined that's anti-competitive. Yet you have the VA fighting to be able to finance the buyer's commission because they don't want buyers to hurt by this DOJ attorney and not be able to pay a commission to not get the services that veterans need. We have an obligation to support our veterans, and they're trying to fulfill it. And so they're scrambling to get the commission that's being hidden by DOJ, approved by VA. Well, how is that going to work out? That's not going to work out. This one hand is what the other hand's doing. They're both idiots. And in California, we're so incompetent, our Department of Realtors, if you file, which I did recently, a document to become an officer of a corporation, their standard lead time, one piece of paper, I'm a broker in good standing, here's my license number, I'm now the broker of this company, 5 months to prove that. So there's people deciding things for our business. And I just think we as NAR has been the largest local action committee because we're the most members. But we really are a collection of small businesses, and we need to stand up for ourselves. It's one thing to point to the organization and say, well, they're not doing their job, they're bad. It's us. We're all practitioners, and so we need to take charge of this and tell our customers. And I'll say to any attorney, without any fear, without any hesitation, more attorneys in, for example, California, wrongly claim that probate attorneys' fees are fixed by state statute when they're actually capped by state statute. I heard that mistake by attorneys all the time. So I'll stand toe-to-toe with anybody defending my fee. You want to pay it? Great. You want to pay it? Fine. I'm busy enough without you. And I think we as agents need to up our game so we get a chance to make those kinds of decisions. Okay, Sarihn, I see your hand up. You've been waiting patiently while drinking a cup of coffee, whatever. How are you doing? And how can we help you?
I'm good. And you said my name perfectly. Wow. I'm not used to that.
I can barely even read the letters with my eyesight these days. So I just took a guess. I saw some of the letters and just went with it. So thank you. Thanks for the.
Yeah. First of all, I want to introduce myself. I am Sarihn. I'm pretty new to probate altogether. I am kind of coming from more the multifamily side. I was a private lender. And I kind of went backwards because, I don't know, I wasn't fulfilled and needed to do something different. So I'm out of the Los Angeles area. And what I found was that there are a lot of people that are either scared of probate in California. Just a lot of people are successful with other things, but once you say the word probate, they're like, I don't know, ask somebody else. I'm not sure. So that kind of made me even more interested in it. I have a few questions. I don't know if you want me to just get into it or you want me to tell you
give it a shot. That's what we do.
Okay.
Well, if you give me too much, I'll throw in the towel, but let's give it a shot.
Okay, sure. I kind of just highlighted the most important things I wanted to find out. So first of all, I'll say this. I had trouble at first figuring out how to pull leads. And after going to the Stanley Moss Courthouse a few times and, bringing them donuts and doing a few things to figure things out, I learned that I live like a block from the Long Beach courthouse. So at this point, I'm walking to the courthouse every single day and pulling about 20 to 30 leads a day. And then my mom's retired, so I have her just put the data in. And then it's a pretty good system I have for, being new to it. However, there are a ton of leads here, so it's hard to kind of do all myself. And one of the questions I have is once I sort of filter out like, minors compromise, guardianship, all of the other stuff, there's still a ton of leads. And I'm wondering when I have that large list of leads that I'm getting pretty much every day of the week, when do I start, like I'm getting my direct mail together, I have my letter that I kind of put together, and when do I start the due diligence on like comping and things like that? Because there's just so many. And I obviously I wouldn't do that earlier than when I know, a seller is going to be even interested in talking to me. So that would be one of my first questions is when do I get into that part?
So let me add a little color to what you're saying for those in the call, because we have a national audience. So Sarihn is in Los Angeles area. One of the larger cities in Los Angeles is Long Beach. It's within Los Angeles County. And in our case, in the probate system in LA, it's a county system. And while you can go to there's one courthouse that has 99% of the probates, Stanley Mosque, as she mentioned, which is downtown LA. The other courts have computer systems that allow you to access data more than you can on your own at your house. So she's saying she goes to the local court. It's a way for her to access the data at a low cost and high volume. So she's accessing the data that's available in our county, which is so much for many of you on this call. We get on a monthly basis, I want to say 500 probate filings or so a month, versus in many other counties. I was talking to Tracy in Ventura, she gets about 30 a month. So obviously your marketing's be different when there's 500 chances than 30. Right? If you only get 30, or some of you guys are in counties with 10 or 15, each one's dear, each one's an opportunity. In Saryn's case, at 500, it's just too much to manage. And so she has to both be efficient with her energy, as well as, I think, probably filter down really which one she wants to focus on to be successful. Okay, that's the setup. Let's talk about you personally. So I think that, like you, I get marketing material from companies selling me probate coaching and data every day. And it's funny, they'll say, oh yeah, just take our program and you'll get 3 listings a week. Yeah, well, it's not that easy. I've taken their course. I know what they're telling you to do. They always, I think, do 2 things. They push you to something that costs you money that they make some money on, right? So they're selling you gold panning equipment because they don't want to be gold miners. They can't gold mine. They don't know how to gold mine. But they're selling you gold pans and picks and shovels, telling you, oh, go mine for gold. It's great. It may or may not be, but they're going to sell you anyhow. So just be careful when people tell you things like direct mail. I'm not against direct mail, but I am for a return on my investment of my time and my money. I just find that so many I had a team member this morning, almost in tears. She signed up for a program and spent money, and realized she wasn't going to get the return for the money over a period of time. Not saying you won't, Sarah, I'm not sure what your plan is. I'm just saying we only, as a business person, we only invest time and money when we expect a certain return. We monitor the results, and we either improve to get the results, or we discontinue because it's not productive. So without really knowing your whole marketing plan, I really can't answer your question. What I will say is that unlike the other programs, you're in the largest county by far. And I would recommend you really think about limiting down to a more narrow focus of what you want to work. For example, I think if you try to compete with me in my niche, which is I'm hyper-focused on the procedures and the laws and services and attorneys, I have a head start on you. You might catch me, but you better work hard to catch me. But I don't go to Long Beach. I'm not going to drive and visit the Long Beach attorneys. I know some. My guess is you'll beat me with them if you make a reasonable effort to develop relationships because you're there. Not that they go to court in Long Beach, but their office is there. They meet their clients there. So you might think about a niche, and one you might think about is a sub-geography, because LA is so big. And I've often thought about trying to attract team members in each market where I know some people can make some reductions. But in your case, I might look for just those probates of attorneys, not properties in Long Beach, because you can sell property everywhere, but the attorneys who are in a certain geography where you're willing to market to those attorneys. Maybe you mail to those attorneys, maybe you stop by their office, Maybe you drop off some candy or pens or muffins or something to the office staff once you meet them and build a relationship with those people. That's one idea. But I would say you need to find some method of limiting the fire hose of cases to the ones that you want to work, and then be the expert or the best in that niche. Then you don't have competition.
Yeah.
My
Well,
niche-
I don't mind a little competition. I'll tell you that right now. So,
Well, I don't either. But,
yeah.
for example, my niche is LA court confirmation sales, both buying them for investors, but more also how to list them effectively. I've literally tracked everyone for 5 years. So I have a database with all the results. I have a database with all the attorneys. I have a database with the average time periods. You can compete with that if you want, but that's where I chose to compete. I don't compete on all of the business because it's just too much.
Yeah. Well, I'm an ICU nurse. So a lot of and I'm doing direct mail on my own. Like I said, I have 3 retired parents, so I can put them to work to fold my letters up, mail them out, and do all that stuff, which is great. And honestly, I can streamline my own stuff. I'm good at that. But a lot of what I found that works for me in my direct mail is, hey, I'm an ICU nurse. I deal with grieving families all the time. I'm here to help you. And I'm a public health nurse. So that works for me, as well as being a case manager part-time. So I deal with Medicaid all the time. So
Nice.
for me, being able to use that in my direct mail, I like direct mail. I think it works for me, as well as calling, because I'm good with people. The main thing though that I was wondering is just like skipping, choosing areas that I like, as opposed to, because there are a ton of bad areas too. A lot of the probates I find are in bad neighborhoods that are coming up slowly, but it's like, do I not waste time? Do I still deal with that? Do I deal with families that don't have estate, don't have properties? And I'm just kind of, since I am fairly new, it doesn't intimidate me. It's just kind of which ones to do I focus on all of it? Because like you said, LA has a ton. But I was just curious.
Yeah, I think you want to filter out those that don't have properties. If your goal is to list property, that makes sense. But see, here's the thing. If your goal was relationships with attorneys, you would want to know attorneys doing probates, let's say with securities or bank accounts or other assets, because there's a relationship. You may not get paid any money on it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done probates where I sold $10,000 piece of land. I lost money on that one by the time I paid my transaction coordinator and fees and such. But that was one more sale, one more attorney, one more court appearance, one more this, one more that. So again, you have to be strategic with your business. I'd be glad to maybe have offline to go a little deeper on your business and maybe ask some questions that you're not comfortable sharing publicly. But I think that you're asking the right questions. The answers are the right answers for you. There's no right answer for everybody on this call. The right answer is what's right for you. You mentioned you're a nurse. I think it's great. You mentioned that you're in Long Beach area. I think it's great. But I think you really need to narrow down what's your budget, how much you want to spend. Nobody has an unlimited mailing budget. Are you going to mail 6 times per person? Are you going to mail to everybody once? Those are questions you have to work out your budget and things like that. So I'd be glad to talk to you offline if you want. And anybody on this call, I'm glad to do a business coaching call for free. You can look me up on Linktree, linktr.ee/Bill Gross, and just book a time with me. I'd be glad to do that. Okay. I hope that helps a little bit, Sarihn.
Yeah.
Do you have another question also?
Well, I was just going to mention, as you know, probably, as much as most people living in California, all of this in California seems to just be extra. Like we're an extra state. It just everything's more difficult here. And I was kind of toying with getting my realtor's license just to have that. And I actually am kind of going through the program just to have that in case I need it. But then again, there are the questions of, will that hurt me more than help me at the end of the day? If I'm trying to wholesale something, or I'm sure I'll learn that, but just in the meantime, I'm still trying to figure out whether it's going to hurt me more than help me to have the license, just to have it. I don't know if I even need it, but that was another thing I was kind of wondering.
It's a common question. I think that it can never hurt you to have extra authority from your state government.
Right.
But it costs money, it costs time. And so is it a good investment of your time or money? And that's something you have to decide personally. I'm a real estate agent. I've also wholesaled properties. I did one about 3 years ago, and I have one right now having a contract. I think I'm going to make, I think on one property, more money than I'll make commissions all year long. Now that's kind of rare, and it just all kind of came together, and I jumped on it. But I think it's one of those things where, you know, just because you have a license doesn't mean you can't wholesale. Just because you wholesale doesn't mean you shouldn't have your license. The question is, what do you want to do, and how do you want to do it? I want to build a business. I find wholesaling hard to scale, though you see a lot of videos and stuff about it, but unless you're Pace Morby, I don't know anybody who's really built up a large wholesaling enterprise. I know a lot of people in real estate who have. I'm happy with the company where I have several mentors. I'm just kind of doing the plan that they've helped me lay out. So you have to think about your business and what you want to do and whether that fits for you or not. Okay, that's a personal question. Good question to ask. And I think, but you need to, don't let somebody else tell you the answer. You need to figure out the answer for you.
Yeah. The funny part is the last year I've spent $50,000 on 4 different mentorships, and Pace, who I talked to about this, is like, he's the one mentor that, you know, he's kind of not helping me, but kind of guiding me on, how to approach this. But it's different in California. So everything's a little different, because you see every video on wholesaling has 99.9%. They're not working in California. They're working in, the Midwest or something where you have to do a lot more quantity rather, California, Washington, New York, those are more quality over quantity, I think, is how you keep up. But yeah, but I'm finding my way. I'm happy to have found this community, because when I go to my meetings and different groups in LA, people don't touch probate for some reason. So
right. Well, wholesaling, I think, it suits itself because somebody doesn't really know much, but has a lot of energy. Whereas probate is going deeper with the systems and knowledge.
right.
So it doesn't normally match up well. I'm a good resource for a wholesaler, but I'm not the nature of a wholesaler. Typically, they're a little more short-term transactional focused.
Right.
Probate is more
Yeah.
deeper relationship building. So.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of Pace. Let's stay in touch. If I can help with anything, please let me know.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Sarihn. Okay. Let's see. Hand up, M. White. Now you're muted. You're unmuted there. M. White, what's up?
Not much, Bill. How you doing today?
Good.
And, several months ago, you talked about you were a personal representative for an estate, and that you were being bombarded by phone calls and letters and all kinds of stuff. And you mentioned you were going to do a case study. Have you had a chance to do that yet? And what's the results?
Right here, I have a pile of correspondence. I've actually done 2 now. And I just keep getting the letters and putting them in the box. And I've not actually gone through formally and counted them and done that. So I've been busy. I mean, I've been listing property and selling property and doing good stuff. It's one of those projects that I'd love to. I'm going to get to. On my to-do list. I just haven't got to it yet.
So what's your gut takeaway so far on what you've done and how it impacted you, and how well did it persuade you to try to make a phone call to some of these people or whatever?
Not at all. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everybody's mailing and everybody's phone call systems and everybody's coaching, but I can say that I found the quality of the material poor. Yeah, I would get emails with the name of the estate backwards instead of Blanca Perez was Perez Blanca, or other similar things like my last name. Normally, you don't address people with a last name in an email or mailer. Long text, like somebody has a template of a text. There's like a long text as an introduction. I think most of us find it a bit offensive when you get like a 5-page text or something and you don't know who they are. I just think the whole personally, and I don't think I know you. Is it Mike?
Yeah, we've talked before.
But I'm saying we haven't met personally. I don't really have any dog in the hunt with your business. I'm not selling you mailing or anything, right? Or not selling against it. But I just think, to be honest, I didn't see anything redeeming about it. I didn't see anything that was valuable. I see a lot of gimmickry, different colors. I think it just is. It sounds is those ideas that sound great. The people who never sold a house will tell you to do because they need something to tell you to do. Mailing a pen, and then they mail you a letter later on. I'm the guy who sent you the pen. I read it because it's comical to me. A real seller wouldn't even open the mail; they would just pitch it. I think so. I don't see the value. I think also envelopes when you have to open them. I think already you're giving away versus a postcard maybe with a quick short message. So many of them have so much content on the postcard. I'm 65 years old. I wear glasses. I could barely even read some of the stuff versus big type, one point or 2 points on the thing rather than your whole resume. So I can go on and on. My intention is to go through in detail, but at the end of the day, I didn't see anything that I would recommend anybody to do. I didn't get any phone calls I got call center phone calls. No agent called me. And one of them is San Diego. So it's not because agents knew me and didn't call me. And I did text back. My goal was to engage, to learn about what they're doing, whereas a normal seller is not going to do that. And even still, the agents weren't really impressive at all. And the mailing I thought was a waste. I didn't see anything. There's nothing that I would copy and implement. Nothing. And I must have between the two of them 100 pieces of mail and emails and texts. I wouldn't. There's nothing there that I looked at and said I want to do that. What a great idea. And I'm pretty open to taking other people's ideas and researching them. But I just didn't see anything at all. I don't know. Is there anything particular that you wanted to ask about, or is that?
No, I'm just sort of curious. I was thinking about that the other day and hadn't heard you mention it in a while, and I just thought I'd ask you next time I talk to you. That's all.
Yeah, no, feel free. And again, it's one of those things on my back burner to kind of go through. But you see certain patterns. You see some of the same letter used multiple times. But I just think that, and when I listen to people, and I make a point of studying look, I want to be the best at my business. I'm not saying it hopefully to be arrogant. I'm saying that because I want to be successful. I want to be good. And how else do you get better by learning from people who are in the business? And so I keep abreast of what the different coaching companies are promoting and selling. And I listen to them talk about mail. I never hear any real data. To me, when somebody says, oh, your return ratio should be between 3 and 6%, that's not data. That's a sales pitch. Data would be the last test we did of 5,000 pieces, we got a return of 2.6%. That's data. When you look at people who are marketing as a profession, for example, one place to learn about marketing is elections. Without getting political, whichever side you're on, they're very much focused on results and numbers and conversion ratios and return on investment. And so they talk about specific data. But in the probate space, the mailers, I just don't believe somebody when they tell me, oh, you're going to get a callback rate of 1 to 3%. Show me the data that says that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And I would like to have a little red penalty flag like the NFL umpires have and throw the penalty flag when I hear that one. I don't think it's true. Now, if one of you tell me you mailed out 400 pieces and you got 12 phone calls, and that's a 3% ratio, I'll listen to that. But when the companies talk about it, I don't hear that kind of data.
Oh, I mail out 1,800 pieces a month and I only get like one phone call, and it's just, basically like social media, just passing by to see what's going on. That's it.
I think that sounds about right. And so if you're mailing 1,800 pieces to people who otherwise, that's okay with you, that's part of your overall marketing. I'll give you an example. I have a database of attorneys that I call my COI attorneys. So these attorneys I've met, maybe done a deal with, tried to do a deal with, somebody introduced me, ahead of my channel, about 300 to 400, it grows. I mail a postcard to them about every 90 days. I don't expect any of them to call me. I just want and the postcard is my picture on the front. I just want them to see my picture in their office for $1 once every 90 days. I don't expect any of them to ever call me. But when I do call them, or my name comes up on something, I do believe that $1 was well invested. But when companies tell you, oh yeah, mail out 600 pieces, then you have to mail out how many times? Well, you need to do it at least 6 times. Well, is there data to support that? Meaning, when the company tells you to mail out 6 times, do they do a test? They mail it out to one group 1 time, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, and they counted the response rate? There was a company, Boomtown, I think they were bought, that did a lot of very detailed analysis on their own CRM data. And they showed one time, like how many contacts it took to convert to an appointment. on average. And they tracked how long it took to convert leads. So for example, their average from brand new lead to closed escrow was 2 years, buyers and sellers. Now, if you understand that in marketing, half your leads are going to take 2 years. And if you're not going to be in the business for 2 years to achieve that, you're cutting the value of your investment down dramatically. But they share that data with their customers. A lot of customers go, oh, that sounds too hard. I'm going to change the CRM platforms. No, they're all the same. They're all about 2 years. And then how many phone calls you had to make? You had to make, I think, 10 phone calls. They had some different response ratios at 3 and 4 and 5 and 10. And you can see the data and make a decision on what to do. That's what a business person does. But when a company says, oh yeah, you should mail out 6 times. Well, why? And does mailing out alone work? And I think for too many people, unfortunately, the answer is no. Okay. Matt, I get a ton being an executive administrator. I get 40 emails a month and phone never stops ringing. Okay. My phone never stops ringing, but I don't pick up phone calls. I don't know who they are. They go to voicemail and I'll either text people back. So I may be getting a lot of phone calls. I will share with you. I got between the 2 listings, maybe 4 people who left me a message I replied to, but I don't take phone calls to people that I don't know who they are. Okay, iPhone says, check the new law regarding wholesalers. Limits how many deals you can wholesale without a real estate agent. Yeah, I know the government's trying to find some way into limiting wholesaler. I'm not sure where that is in process. You missed Audra missed the question. Audra, I missed which question you're asking about. I'm so sorry. Okay, I have any other questions? I have a couple of things I wanted to share with you guys that I thought were interesting, but I'm glad to ask. There's
Yeah.
Sarah's
Hey,
hand
Bill.
up. Hold on a second. Sarah put her hand up first, and then I'll bring you in next. Sarihn.
I'm so sorry. It's a quick question.
Yes.
I heard going through the mastery, I heard a lot of the, and even in the phone calls, I listened to Pam's old phone call and she was like a total rock star. Mentioning the whole attorneys, kind of like one of the lines is, we take over where the attorney leaves off. Now, dealing with attorneys, how do they usually handle hearing, people in our what we're doing kind of say that about them? Like if you include that on a call or in a letter, and the petitioner goes back and says, hey, I've learned that you don't do that much. I mean, it sounds like that would sound kind of shady not shady, but just I'm wondering, and I know you've dealt with probably a ton of attorneys, how they feel about that.
They don't talk to their customers enough to hear that, to be honest. They're not being available.
Okay.
I think that I would offer that comment to an attorney. Hey, I know you're overwhelmed with all the legal side. And when a customer calls you about the car, or calls you about the clean out, or calls you about they can't get the paperwork signed, that's where I help you out. I mean, I do all the stuff but the legal stuff. And I don't do it personally. I have a team of people. We'll do it all. So when you send out your papers, the customer hasn't signed yet, you let me know. I'll go out, I'll get them to sign the papers and bring it back to you.
Yeah.
So that's what they want to hear. They want to hear how you can make their job easier, faster, better.
Right.
I think if you say it properly, they'll be okay with it. The truth is most attorneys hate realtors, just their nature. They think we're just all pawn scum and are going to disrespect you. I think that's a good thing because I don't look like those other realtors, not physically, but in the way I conduct my business. I think I do my best to let them know right away, I know this stuff. I'm the real deal. And I'm not playing around. Yeah. So many realtors will say I'm a probate expert, but they didn't even know how to fill out the forms properly. And the attorneys hate that. Versus I let them know I really know this stuff. I had an attorney tell a client they couldn't list the house. I think I may have talked about this last week in Orange County, California, without the probate court approving the listing. Well, that's not true. It's true if you're selling a conservatorship's residence, conservatorship, somebody doesn't have capacity. It's true if you're selling a guardian's residence, a kid doesn't cancel the house on their behalf, needs approval to list. Not true on a probate. Not true. Number 2, he said the maximum commission was 6%. Actually, I'm sorry, this was LA. I'm sorry. He said it was 6%. I said, well, that's not true. That's for a court confirmed sale. There's a maximum set by the court in Orange County and in LA County. There's no limit on a regular probate. But by the way, I'm only going to charge you 5%, so it doesn't really matter. And when the attorney saw that email, and I actually went to the customer, got them to prove that I was accepted, I was the expert, got the listing, sent it to the attorney and said, hey, I know you advised not to get the listing, but actually it's not required court approval. And I attached the Orange County probate court rules to my email, and I copy and pasted the paragraph that said that. What's the attorney going to say to me? He's going to say, well, gee, you know this stuff better than I do. Like I could fight you, or I can get out of the way and let you help me. And most of them at that point, if you're smart and present yourself in a non-arrogant, non-threatening way, like an attorney would, they go, oh, you're kind of like me, but you do real estate. Great. I'll step aside. So it depends on how you present it. But again, I would say that's a good comment to an attorney. I handle all the non-legal stuff. I can help you with that. To say to the customer, I think they're already unhappy with the attorney, and the attorney only does the legal stuff. They already know that. So I don't know that that line is particularly effective with the customer.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, Octavio, let's get you unmuted and in here. What's going on, man? Octavio, hands up, and I hit you unmute. While you deal with that, let me get Monica, because she's kind of ready to go. Monica, what's up? Oh, you're muted though. I think you're muted on your side, not on our side. I can't hear you. Cannot hear you. Maybe on the Zoom app, the little microphone button there, you have the wrong microphone selected. We can't hear you. I'm sorry. And Octavio, I tried to unmute you as well. Can't hear you. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna pull you out of the line here. Keep playing with it. Once you get yourself unmuted, Monica, love to get you in. Okay, or put in the chat box. And Octavio, again, I try to bring you in, but you're still muted, so I can't hear you. Okay, while we're waiting, technical challenges. Let's see. Reen. They certainly knows. Reen, why don't you jump in here real quick rather than me read your text, and let's
Sure. I was just kind of, as I was typing it, I think you said the same thing, so I'm not sure I'll add much to it. But one of the things I was going to add to Saryn's question is when I have a call, I try to meet with the family and the attorney, because most of the time it's easier for me to win over the attorney than it is the personal representative. And it's what Bill said. If you can set yourself apart and not come off like all the other agents, especially the ones that say they know probate and they really don't, you're like, that attorney will recommend you all day long. And so one of the things I'll do is I'll throw in some questions specific to the attorney just to demonstrate my knowledge. Like I might ask them, when the time comes, are you okay with us doing a waiver of liability? Most of my other agents in my market don't even know what that is. And then I mentioned to them why I want to do it, right? To protect the personal representative and the estate, and also does some other things for us when we're selling as is. And most of the time the attorney will be like, oh yeah,
Beautiful.
This is great. And I also explain the approach to the attorney to make sure that they're not going to have any concerns about our approach. So by the time I leave the office, usually it's the attorney who's more excited about us working together than the personal representative.
Which the attorney can refer you multiple business. The personal representative typically only has one deal. So that's where we want to target them.
Exactly. And there's what better way to meet attorneys than have your personal representative introduce you to them,
100%.
right? I mean, yeah.
100%. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that, man. And that's Reen, and he is in every time
Minnesota.
I have to stop
in Minnesota.
But,
it's cold up here, Bill.
Yeah, but there's a lot of cold states up there. So they're all kind of Dakotas, Montana, Canada's a state. They're all kind of, when you fly from LA to New York, they're all kind of in between to the north side of the plane. So it's all kind of the same. Big Ten country, I know that much. So
yeah. Your teams are going to be up here this fall.
I'm sorry?
UCLA and USC, I think, are both coming here this fall, and it's not going to be good for us.
Well, unless it snows, in which case you're probably going to have a little advantage on us. So All right. Thanks so much, Sarihn.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Octavio, let's try to get you in here. Let's get you unmuted if you're able to.
Can you hear me
man.
now?
I can hear you. I can see your charger bolt over your shoulder there.
I have a question for you, Bill. I just sent over 300 mailers to past clients. I'm not big on, sending mailers out, but on this particular time is for sending all my clients with the trust information. So I'm getting quite a few calls back. They're interested in doing a trust. So I'm talking to a few attorneys. How do I get more attorneys besides the ones I get recommended? Because I heard the lady earlier, we can mail something to the attorneys, but the secretaries or where they work on the front office, there's your gatekeepers. How can I get in front of the attorneys to pop up to the office, bring something to them, or what do you think should I do?
So first off, just make sure I heard this properly. I happen to know Octavio. We were colleagues years ago, so I know him pretty well. I know his business. If you heard him, he said he mailed 300 pieces to past clients. He has a database of people he sold houses to, and he has another related business to that he has a personal relationship with. So he's not cold mailing out and getting a bunch of phone calls in. This is what I recommend everybody to do, is to mail out to people you have a relationship with and use the mail to drive activity there. So the question he's asking me is, I get people who are interested in estate planning. Where do I take them? I think that the mistake we make as realtors is we think of attorneys as sitting in their office, kind of like Santa Claus at the mall at Christmas time, handing out candy canes with listings to real estate agents. Most deals come to them referred by other professionals. They already have a commitment. And they're also not so good at tying a referral to a realtor. Many will tell the customer, I'll call Octavio and give them the phone number, but they won't give it to you. And the customer loses it, or the customer gets distracted, or something happens. It's not an effective referral. And so I think our goal as professionals is to make our referral business tighter constantly. It's a constant process. There's no one answer to that question. That's what we work at every day. So a couple things you might think of. You should have your referral source or sources that you're sending people to, that you're feeding, that are worried about losing your business, so they're going to refer you business back. So if you're generating and you should, you're an active realtor, and I know do you still do the tax work as well?
Yes, sir.
So, you're a financial professional as well as a real estate agent with an active practice. And I'm sure you have customers all the time who have questions about estate planning, that if I was a local estate planning attorney, I'd want your business. So you should have, I think, of kind of like an ABC menu, A being low cost, kind of self-help, trustandwill.com, legalzoom.com. There's different ones online. There's cheaper ones online. B is kind of like a low cost local provider. They'll do one for $1,000 to $3,000, local office, customer can go in, one-time shot. And then C would be 3,000 or higher for your clients who have multiple properties, businesses, blended families, $5 million and up in assets, that kind of person. So you have different levels. You don't want to send a C-level client to an A or an A-level to a C. You need the right level. How do you find them? Well, I'm always talking to estate planning people. I get in Facebook, I may see somebody running an ad for their planning seminar. I reach out to the attorney. I meet them. I interview them on my YouTube channel. I share that with my database, my social media. Also, what you should be doing, I believe, is in your solicitation to past clients, your clients that have an estate plan because they took title as a trust, right? It's not John Mary Smith, it's the John and Mary Smith Trust. So if you just took your past clients, you might call those that have a plan that you're not aware of and say, hey, John or Mary, I noticed that when you guys bought the house or sold your house, you had a trust. Can I ask you who set it up, and were you happy with that service? And if they say yes, you now have a great resource and an intro to say, hey, can I call them? I have other clients like you that need an estate plan. Can I call that attorney and introduce myself? Sure, we love Bob, the estate planner, or Mary, the estate planner. Now you call the estate planner. I was talking to John and Mary. You did their plan. I'm their realtor. I get other customers like them. Do you take new clients? So that's one obvious way. And now some of your customers are going to say, no, we hated him. We did it, and things have changed, and he wants to charge us too much, or Or, she's out of business now. She retired. We need a new plan. Do you know somebody? Now you've generated some referrals. So I think being in that discussion with your past clients is a great way for you to generate those resources as well as those leads.
Okay.
At your stage of career, you could do nothing but that all day long and double your business. I really believe. Now, if you enjoy it, now if you don't enjoy that, don't do it. I love those conversations.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on, because I'd be surprised. I think one of every 100 clients, they only have a trust. A lot of them, they don't. So I think it's my duty to help these people and help them any way possible to get their stuff ready.
What percentage of your clients who own a house should have a trust?
All of them, I think.
So you have 99 clients times however many who really need that service. Do you tell them that? Have you told the other 99, hey, I noticed you don't have a trust. Do you understand why it's so important? Have you talked to them about it?
Right now I'm calling everybody. Everybody on my CM, it took me almost 2 weeks to put all my database in a, CMR. So right now I'm calling everybody. So that's why I'm getting a lot of leads. So I just don't want to give all my clients to one particular attorney. I want to spread them out.
Well, I find, again, there's got 3 price points. Then there's geography. I know you're in the South Long Beach area. There's people, but you have clients in Long Beach. You also have clients in the Valley. You have clients in
everywhere.
Montebello. So you might find an A and a B in multiple markets. I also find that some people relate to male, some female. Generally, I advise male to male, female to female. It's just more convenient. I know some of your clients speak Spanish. That's a group. Some don't. That's a group. So you can have multiple resources. You might give them a list of multiple people to call. Now imagine being an attorney and find out the client came to their office and has a list from Octavio Gary of the 5 different, A menu or B menu or C menu. Might they call you and say, hey, I noticed you refer people out. I'd love to get on your list. Or I'm on your list. How could I be number 1 on your list? Or how can I be the only one on your list? Right?
Right. All right.
Very
Thank you,
good.
sir.
My pleasure. Octavio, nice seeing you, man. And go Bolts. Okay, last question. Emily Matthews, if you're still there, hand up. I'm going to unmute you. And there you go.
Okay. Yeah, just, you're talking about estate planners. Back when I took the class, they were talking about finding I can't think of the word, a registered estate planner or something like that. That would act as
investment advisor?
Yeah, that's it. So where would I have tried to find an investment advisor in my state, and I tried multiple browsers, and I kept getting referred to some outfit in Baltimore, which I knew it was just an ad. And I wasn't impressed at all. But it's like, how do you find someone who is like, say, a fiduciary? And when you're talking about estate planning, I assume you're talking about like estate planning lawyers.
Okay, you're talking about there's a whole different
So
menu
there's two different things
you talk about. You're conflating a few things. So
there's 2 things. There's estate planning, and then there's this investment advisor.
Correct.
So with estate planning, when you're talking about meeting estate planners, you mean estate planning lawyers, right?
Oh, I mean, there's estate planning attorneys, and there's also people who represent estate planning services, like trustandwill.com is a service. They probably have an attorney at the top of the company, but I'm pointing the customer to an online service, not to an actual attorney.
Oh, I see.
Or there's other ones who operate locally who, for example, people work at different insurance companies, Transamerica. They have in their system like the ability to meet with a client and get them into a kind of trustandwill.com LegalZoom kind of product, but they'll meet with the customer and they maybe do the notary for the customer, make it easier for them. So yeah, those 2. But yeah, in general, we're talking about estate planning attorneys.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But so now regarding the other thing, that registered invest, how do I find somebody like that?
Well, Again,
know?
yeah. So registered investment advisor is a legal status of somebody. You think of them as, or they're going to present themselves as wealth advisors or investment advisors. And then they'll have, that status means the way they interact with the customer is different. Some charge a percentage of assets under management and then are obligated to save them on commissions. Some don't charge a fee, but make money on commissions like stockbrokers. So the RIA designation is just a type of approach for wealth management. I don't know that designation is particularly important to you. You're looking for, I think, somebody who has a problem. They deal with people who are ready to make, major financial decisions, but need to have an estate plan put together, or they put a plan together and somebody passed and now they need to sell real estate related to that plan. So I don't know necessarily that you reaching out to specifically registered independent advisors is a particular marketing strategy other than anything else. Now, if you are one, and here's the distinction. If your husband, wife, son, daughter, my son-in-law works for a firm, one of the largest in the nation, called Evoke. Maybe if I was starting out, I would leverage that relationship and meet other registered investment advisors. They have their firm in LA 20 or 30, but they have like 20 offices or whatever. But I don't know that if you're asking me this question, probably you don't need to worry about it, because I think you're going down a rabbit hole that's not going to yield you the fruit you think it will.
Well, I was just trying to, it was just because that was mentioned in the course, and I just didn't know what was meant, and now you explained it. They might call themselves other names and stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
That's as much I think you need to know at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Okay. I now mean to be short, but I'm a little over time here, so I'm supposed to go an hour and about 5 minutes over here. It just went fast. I don't know about you guys, but did I talk that long in the beginning? I think I got my soapbox about commissions and the lawsuit, and I didn't mean to carry on. Anyhow, thanks for all those who participated. Thank you, Matt, as always. Sarihn, nice to meet you. Come back again. Reen, always great to have you on. Emily, thanks for the question at the end. Octavio as well. I guys participate. The thing I tell you guys, I'm just you. It's just that when the leader of the call couldn't go anymore, I just offered to do it as a substitute, and here I am a couple years later. But let's work together. Let's help each other. If we all work together, we can dominate the market. There's more enough business for all of us. So let's work together and find a way to get that done. If I can help, I'm at Bill Gross Probate on social media. And then just a quick run through again. This is the Probate Mastery phone call. We do this every. Wow, Bill, and I got the wrong page up there. 1 second. Am I looking posh? I don't think so today. ProbateMastery.com is the website with the coaching and the other products. There's some free training there, probate opportunity, marketing, and prospecting. Scroll down if you want to learn more about the Probate Mastery course, which also gets you certification. If you want to sign up for this phone call, go to the free weekly coaching phone call. Fill out the information there. You get reminders as well as links to the recording after the fact and other fun stuff. And then the Facebook community, continue the conversation there at Estate Professionals Mastermind, 7,500 members nationally. I'd love to have you there. Ask questions, continue the conversation. Separately, I host probateweekly.com. Probateweekly.com. Fill in your email information. You'll get subscribed, and we'll send you notifications when we start those calls every week. As well as you can sign up and see it on the audio versions or past recordings on YouTube. I'm at Bill Gross Probate on social media. Thank you guys all for participating today. We had a lot of fun, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.